On today's Growing Bolder, a reconnection that brings love and salvation when it's most needed.
I can't even put else into words. He saved my life.
Alcohol kicked this former All-Star out of baseball. Since then, he's made it his life's work to help others stay in the game. Resilience and the power of her tribe helped Kay Rawlins, one of the nation's top soccer executives, keep surviving and thriving. Next on Growing Bolder. We're not made to withdraw from life. We're made to seize each moment and to value every breath. We're made to be bold, to take risks, and to help others. We are the most creative, fearless, passionate being that has ever walked the face of the earth. Don't identify with limitation. Embrace possibility. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of what's next. This is Growing Bolder.
Support for Growing Bolder provided by
A financial plan should help grow and protect your money. An annuity can help cover essential expenses in retirement. You can find a financial professional to show you how at protectedincome.org.
Hi and welcome to Growing Bolder. I'm Mark Middleton. Today we're going to talk about surviving and thriving. We're going to talk about one of the most important skills that we can have as we age, resilience. That's the psychological strength to cope with stress and hardship. Resilience makes us better able to rebuild our lives after setbacks of any kind, and the good news is that most of us have it. In fact, the older we get, the more of it we have, because the way we build resilience is by overcoming challenges. Sadly, the road to resilience is paved with considerable distress. It's a hard-earned but highly valuable skill. So let's start today with Amy Sweezy, who shares a love story about surviving and thriving.
When Lillian Iorio was diagnosed with kidney disease as a teenager, she had no idea how it would impact her life. For years, her health steadily declined until in her 40s, her only option was a kidney transplant. Little did she know she'd eventually find an unexpected result. Lillian Iorio grew up in Long Island, New York. She lived what seemed like a normal, active childhood, playing field hockey, a member of the flag team, and a cheerleader. On the outside, she seemed perfectly fit and fine. But on the inside, the story was much different. Lillian was born with a larger than normal kidney, and at the age of 17 was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, or PKD. The disorder causes painful clusters of cysts to develop inside the kidneys, which eventually rupture and calcify, and in some patients it progresses until the kidneys no longer function.
When I was diagnosed at 17, there was really not a lot of information that was provided to me. I was just given a pamphlet and said, here you go.
PKD is genetic and there is no cure.
With the limited information that I was provided and what I was able to even research was scary to me. So, I didn't know which area, would I be the one that never had any issues or would I be the one that had the issues? So the way I coped with it was, well, it's not affecting me, it's not a reality, so.
That all ended when Lillian reached her 30s and started getting sick all the time. A simple cold or flu would send her to the hospital. She once needed an IV for 17 days to fight an infection.
Your kidneys filter the blood through your body, filters the waste. And as your kidneys decrease, your body isn't filtering, so there's toxins in the body, and it affects all areas.
As her health continued to decline into her 40s, Lillian knew getting on a transplant list for a new kidney would be her eventual hope.
I never stopped working, I never stopped doing my life, it just pushed through, a lot of tears, pushed it through.
It was at the height of her illness that Lillian reconnected with an old teenage boyfriend. They found each other on Facebook and started a long-distance relationship.
But I gotta be honest, in the back of my head, I always I'm in New York, she's in Florida. In the long run, this is definitely not gonna work out. It can't, this just won't work out.
Because we were long distance, we talked for a couple months before we saw each other. I guess I was sick, but I was living through the sickness. I don't think directly it really made a difference in the relationship right away, because we were just so excited to, be together.
She was at 55% function when we first started to talk about it. So it was something that it came up, but I didn't think that I would have to deal with it or handle it anytime soon.
When the topic of marriage came up, Lillian hesitated.
There was a hesitance at first because I'm like, I'm just going to be this burden. I'm going to, we're going to get married and I'm just going to be a burden.
As Lillian's health continued to deteriorate, she knew she was getting close to the dangerous levels required for a transplant.
I went to Stony Brook University and got on the transplant evaluation, met with the transplant team, went through my testing, and Frank said, hey, I'm gonna, check to see if I'm a match. I was like, okay, have we talked about it prior? In little things, but when it comes to him, I really didn't think about Frank to be that. I just thought of Frank as my partner and just being with me through the process. So, when he got tested was amazing, but then I got scared because I'm like, I can't influence him. I can't talk with him. He has to be able to know and make that decision. So
it wasn't a hard decision at all. It was automatically. I found this person after so many years of my life. I wasn't gonna let her go. I guess that was kind of selfish on my part. I would do anything to keep her in my life, including give her my kidney.
We have separate people that work with us through the process, and his journey is his. His is a private journey. He has to be able to make decisions and not be influenced. I didn't want him to feel like he had to say yes, because he could have said no and I would have still loved him. You know what I mean? I would have it would have been okay.
In my mind, I finally found this person. I wasn't going to let her go for any reason. And this was just part of it.
In August 2019, Frank and Lillian were married in New York. 1 month later, Lillian's kidney function dropped to 19%. That was soon followed by a cardiac episode, a visit to the emergency room, a diverticulitis issue, and hernia surgery. Lillian's health was diminishing quickly. So, in September 2020, Frank gave Lillian his kidney. And 6 months later, the love of his life started enjoying the best health of her life.
Everything is better. I don't feel sick. I felt toxic. I just felt the toxicity in my body. I had no energy. I have all the energy. Throughout the day, I would need to, and I would want to take naps. I don't need that anymore. When I wake up, I'm full of energy, and I'm not sick. I can't put it into words. I feel great.
I feel fine. I don't feel something inside of me is missing or something different inside of me. I just want to stay healthy and live my life with Lillian. And now that we're at this point in our life, we can do it now. And I'm very excited about that.
He's a part of me. He's always been a part of me, but he really is a part of me. I carry him every day, I just wanted to live for my family. I wanted to live just to live. I can't even put else to work. And he saved my life. And you can't change that, And so I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that this was a plan. I believe that this plan was already in place, and he's my angel.
Through it all, Lillian never lost hope. And when the love of your life saves your life, it shows you never know where that one person who makes all the difference for you may come from. Sam McDowell has saved a lot of lives. He never expected to. In fact, he wasn't sure he could save his own. He was too late to save his incredible baseball career, but what he did instead, he says, turned out to be even more fulfilling.
In baseball, when I first signed at 17 years of age, I didn't drink, never had a drink. And in fact, when we'd go out after a game, guys would order a beer or two. I'd have a soda pop or what have you.
But a drink one night with the team uncaged something he couldn't control. Over the next 15 years, his drinking got worse, to the point where the 6-time All-Star with the 100-mile-an-hour fastball and as much talent as any pitcher in the game was let go.
Once I got thrown out of baseball and figured something's up, you know. And that's an amazing story, just the fact that I got thrown out of baseball. Because Joel Brown, the Yankees had released me, Giants got rid of me, you know, I was worthless, basically. No, I didn't blame anybody else. I knew it was my fault. I didn't know why, but I knew it was my fault, okay? He gave me every chance there was in a book. Everybody gave me every chance in a book.
For a guy who didn't lose often on the mound, in life, he lost everything. His wife, his kids, his home. He was destitute and living with his parents when he finally reached out for help. He checked into rehab and began a remarkable turnaround. How many drinks have you had since 1980?
None. Haven't had a pill, haven't had a drug, haven't had a liquid drug, alcohol, nothing.
You're still stubborn.
No, I'm just back to normal, you might say.
Far from the end of the story, in many ways, this was just the beginning. He became obsessed with trying to dissect what happened and trying to understand everything he could about addiction. He took psychology classes, got a degree, and instead of running as far away from baseball as possible, he went back to help other players in pain. And because it was Sam McDowell, they listened.
So I get a call, an emergency call from Joe Garagiola. And he said, Sam, we need your help desperately. He said, we have a player who's in the middle of trying to commit suicide. Can you help? Well, I was also trained and certified. And I said, I'll help. And so he got the phone number for me. I talked to the player and I brought him down. I stabilized him. And to make a long story short, the player, we stabilized, we got help for him professionally. He's an ordained minister now that works with children in crisis. And it's okay because I've talked to him and he said yes. It's Bernie Carbo, the famous first baseman for the Boston Red Sox. And he worked with children now and does an unbelievable job.
McDowell had found a calling. Baseball needed him, not for his arm, but for his knowledge, his personal experience, and his compassion. They created BAT, the Baseball Assistance Team, a one-of-a-kind program dedicated to helping current or former ball players in need.
In fact, I've had so many writers ask me over the years, do you regret anything? Absolutely not. I would not be where I am and help the people that I did without what happened.
Sam McDowell is 78. Can you believe that?
Long way from being a 17-year-old kid pitching my first game in professional baseball.
So what do you feel about life now? Where are you? Are you in a good place?
I've got a lot of medical problems, and I know it. But to me, they're not a big deal. They're not slowing me down. They're not interfering with me being at peace, being happy, having a good time, enjoying my wife, enjoying life. It's there. It's normal. It's natural. I know it. You know, I got heart problems. I got COPD. I'm a diabetic.
When is it too late?
Never too late. It's never too late.
And Sam, for a guy who essentially was thrown out of his sport,
destroyed it.
You're now an unsung hero in your sport, respected by so many people for what you're doing, for what the path that you paved and the road that you've set. So let's kind of get to the takeaway. What's the moral of the Sam McDowell story? What do you hope we learn from what you've seen, what you've experienced, and what you've overcome?
I truly believe from the time I was born, even throughout my alcoholism, that you can overcome anything you want to as long as you do one thing, and that's separate the air between your butt and where you're sitting. Get up and do something about it. And I believe strongly that every single roadblock can be overcome in life. I don't care how bad it is, you can conquer it. If you get up off your, do something about it.
How interesting that nothing in life feels better or is more rewarding than making a difference for someone else. Sam McDowell was an all-star, but he proved to the sports world and the business world that taking care of people is what's really important and what truly gives life meaning.
When life brings us more than we think we can handle, many times the first step is the one we resist the most. Accept it. It doesn't mean you agree with it or even that it's fair. It simply means you stop pushing, resisting, or blaming. Then the healing can begin. Your situation may not change because you are accepting it, but it can change the way you show up moving forward. Acceptance helps you to develop a new reality. Now, I have a dear friend who always wanted a son, and when he finally had one, his son was born with autism and is nonverbal. Now, that wasn't what he wanted or prayed for, and after having his pity party, he accepted it and found a way to build a strong, loving, and viable father-son relationship. Now, they have a thriving relationship. When you accept whatever's going on in your life, you exchange blame, denial, and resentment or hurt for ownership. Taking ownership of where you are makes room for forgiveness and allows you to move forward. Stop wanting to be right, stop wanting to be in control, stop wanting to point the finger. Just accept it. Then you can move forward. For Growing Bolder, I'm Cecily Wilson.
Kay Rawlins may not be the most powerful woman in sports, but she is one of the most inspirational and unquestionably one of the most beloved in her community. Rawlins is founder, vice president, and foundation president for Orlando City Soccer, the owner of franchises in the top men's and women's professional leagues in North America. Her journey from the UK to the US and her trials and tribulations along the way have defined the Growing Bolder experience. Belief in herself, fearlessness, creative risk-taking, endless persistence, and a reliance on family and friends when needed. It's not easy to capture an audience, to create a movement, to build a tribe. And it was the furthest thing from Kay Rawlins' mind when she quit school at 18 to work in a bank, or when she quit the bank 10 years later to become a stay-at-home mom, or when she began volunteering at a private preschool and ended up buying the school. It still wasn't on her mind when at age 31 she went to college to study business and management. Or in 2004 when she married Phil Rawlins, her childhood sweetheart who was running a business in Texas.
And he persuaded me that I should fly 5,000 miles away from all my family and move to America.
In 2008, the couple, both huge soccer fans, sold their business to launch a minor league team in Texas.
We tried for 3 years in Austin, and it was hard going. We lost a lot of money. We really didn't have the support on or off the field that we would have hoped for. And we could have decided at that point, okay, it didn't work, let's give up. But we felt like we had a good product and we knew what we were doing. We were just in the wrong place.
So they moved their team and their shared dream to Orlando.
And we were told at that very first press conference, you seem like really good people, but it's never going to work. So, hey, challenge accepted.
Despite the naysayers, they found an energized community, anxious to embrace their vision of a global soccer destination.
Orlando has just been amazing. They threw their arms around us. They really did. The business community, the media, just everyone. We very quickly built a fan base, a supporter base.
In just 3 years, they were awarded a Major League Soccer franchise that made its debut in front of a sellout crowd of 62,500.
And that was just the most surreal, incredible day.
The following year, they were awarded a National Women's Soccer League franchise and were set to debut a new privately funded, state-of-the-art soccer stadium when Kay was blindsided by the news that her husband was divorcing her to marry another woman. A devastated Kay was immediately surrounded by family and friends, one in particular who encouraged her to vent in private, to make the difficult choice in the midst of her pain to take the high road.
She'd call me and say, "Don't say anything, you're not going to comment, you're just going to rise above, rise above." And so she just helped me walk that path of don't get dragged into mudslinging, you know, be graceful about all of this. You can, if you want to scream and yell and rant, I'm here. Like, do it to me, but don't do it out in public. All the jerseys done today or not?
We're very close.
If you want to be taken seriously still as a businesswoman and as someone who's the face of the club, then don't get dragged into, you know, any of that name-calling, mudslinging kind of thing. And, you know, I think it's when you realize, for me anyway, that the good that you've put out into the world comes back. And it really did. You know, I was pretty overwhelmed by just the love I received. It was pretty special.
Details of the power couple breakup were all over social media. Hurt, angry, and embarrassed, Kay, with the help of her friends, found the strength to move forward with grace and dignity.
That's when you really realize the power of the tribe, the people who you surround yourself with, who are right there every step of the way with you. I've had so many people tell me, we hold you up as the epitome of how to deal with a public breakup. You know, that this is the way to do it, because you keep friends, you keep respect, you know, and it's also good for you. You know, holding on to vitriol and anger is definitely not a good thing to do.
Her desire to help others was the key to helping herself.
The more I work in this community and the more I understand about the issues and problems we have, the more I want to be involved to help be on the side of getting them sorted.
Kay is an advocate for every marginalized and underserved group: the homeless, the poor, the food insecure, the disabled and disadvantaged, the LGBTQ community. Her passions are inclusion, diversity, and respect for all, something she sees at every home game.
I look at our games and I see the United Nations out there in our stands. You know, soccer is played in every country in the world.
No longer just the face of Orlando soccer, Kay Rawlins has become the soul of her community, delivering by example a message that transcends the game she loves.
That you can keep reinventing yourself. You know, I've had 3 very different careers. Started out in banking, then moved into childcare and education, and then soccer. It's never too late to learn and be a lifelong learner. You know, I learn something new every day, and I love that I learn something new every day. I think that's my takeaway is it's never too late to do anything.
Kay had resilience before her divorce, but she obviously has more now. The older we get, the more we have. We've been there and we've done that. We're able to take the long view because we know from experience that this too shall pass. Having resilience is critically important as we age, and it's an unfortunate fact of life that developing resilience basically requires emotional distress. Just like building a muscle requires that you tear it down first. It's hard to look at major setbacks and challenges as something good, but if you want to continue to live an active, engaged life, if you think there is more passion and purpose and possibility that you can wring out of the years ahead, if you want to keep moving forward, having adventures, and spending time with those you love, resilience is critical. Now, having resilience doesn't mean you experience less distress, grief, or anxiety. It just means that you have healthy coping skills that will allow you to not just bounce back, but to survive and ultimately to thrive, to grow, to emerge stronger than before. Resilience isn't a personality trait. It's not something you're born with. You have to develop it, and anyone can. So here's 4 quick keys. Connect with empathetic people, the kind that remind us that we're not alone in the midst of our difficulties. Prepare yourself for the inevitable and sometimes the unexpected setbacks with positive lifestyle choices. Great nutrition, lots of sleep, and regular exercise can all reduce the toll that trauma extracts. Avoid negative coping mechanisms. It's tempting to mask our pain with alcohol or drugs, but they'll only make things worse. And ask for help when you need it, because that's not weakness, that's growing bolder. We'll see you next time.
Support for Growing Bolder provided by
A financial plan should help grow and protect your money. An annuity can help cover essential expenses in retirement. You can find a financial professional to show you how at protectedincome.org.
Watch previous seasons of Growing Bolder plus bonus stories via our new free streaming app. More information at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to plan your what's next when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook. Show the world you're growing bolder with official Growing Bolder products. Growing Bolder tees and hats are available for $25 each. Custom mugs are $15, and inspiring Tear and Share postcards featuring original artwork and bold messages are $15 plus shipping and handling. All items are available at growingbolder.com/shop.